I came up with a pretty cool and I think much needed idea. It's a servo saver for the SkeeRide 2 with the using the heavy duty rack for the rack and pinion steering. You also need the updated frame to receive this. Made a copy of the rack and I'm just using negative volume shapes to cut these two parts away and then get my G-code. If you look at the models, I'm simply using generic boxes, negative volume boxes on each part, cutting away the shapes. Inside is also a generic cylinder on each part to receive the spring, which you can't see in the model view here. So the way it's going to work is I have this where it's about 3 millimeters clearance, which gives about an 1/8 inch on each side of travel. Then it'll hard stop this piece with the gears. The rack will hard stop against the frame here, and these cylinder cutouts is where the spring goes. This will all simply be captured in the slot with the pinion against it, and then the servo saver works by this sliding on the gearing on the rack with the spring tension working to keep it centered. Here is the two-part rack with the spring inside. Sits flush, this same dimension as the original. I am taking a guess at how much spring tension for the servo saver. Here is the spring. I wound it myself. Made that out of 30-second music wire. The negative volume cylinders making the cutouts on both pieces is 220 thousandths in diameter, and this is 3/4 inches long. So if this tension isn't right, I can play around with different springs. But there's the amount of travel it has to where it hits the stops, and yeah, it should go right in just like the stock rack with the servo saver feature built into it. The only possible downside to this design would be the strength we're losing from cutting this away. Here's the original rack, so it's still as thick, and if you look from the bottom of the cutouts on the original rack, bottom of the teeth, this is still almost twice as thick this way, along with the servo saver feature, which is cushioning any shock that's being put on this rack. Here's a look at the dimensions on the spring. Set this at 750. It's pretty much right on 750. 215 thousandths diameter. Gives 5 thou clearance on them 220 thou cylinder cutouts on the printed pieces. 30-second music wire. Okay, let's get this put in the SkeeRide 2. I think I'm really close on this spring tension as far as what you'd want in a servo saver. You can see that rack insert. There I am flexing the servo saver spring, and here's moving the servo. So stays positively centered, and then you got this cushion of the servo saver. I have the new version of the frame mounted on the sled. It takes the heavy duty rack and pinion steering. Same as the original version. Got this play in it. Could very well be the location of the output shaft of my servo. So we'll modify the insert portion of this rack. I separated this part out so it'd be easy to add this thickness, modify it, test it. Nice thing is it's only 22 minutes to print. Also, if anybody wants a G-code for this original thickness, just under 400 thou thick, I'll have them files. For mine, I'm making this a little thicker. Printer's done. Looks like we added 15 thou to this rack insert. The play in this rack is definitely a relationship of the location of the shaft on the servo, on any given servo, and the back wall. I added 15 thou. Still have this play in the slot here. I'm going to center this up, drop the servo in. That play is gone. It's just perfect. Moves freely through here. Got our servo saver. No play up or down. That's beautiful. Here is a good look from underneath of this servo saver working. Two-part, this split piece with the teeth on it, and then the main rack. When I move against the servo, you can see the spring saving it. Same time, no play. So I think that's going to be a nice feature. Take the pounding off that pinion gear. This is not a drive-in test, but I don't see why that wouldn't work. Just looking at how this recenters, I think it'll settle right back to center driving versus sitting on the counter.